Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It's Mindset Monday. Get your mind right, get your body right. Have a great week this week. It's going to be an awesome week here. Welcome to Standing Out. I'm Trey Griggs from Beta Consulting Group, and this is a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. And I got to tell you, folks, we got a stacked lineup this week. Today's guest is going to be amazing. Can't wait to bring Paul on. We got Dan Deegan on tomorrow. The strongest man in logistics, Robert Bain, on Wednesday. My good buddy Coleman Ruffin on Thursday. And my very first sales manager when I transitioned from teaching to sales, Melissa White, business consultant, and a good friend of mine. She'll be on the show on Friday as well. So it's going to be a great week of guests. So make sure that you tune in every morning at 10:30 a.m. Central on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube or on Twitter to catch the show. And before I bring on Paul today, who you're going to learn a ton from this guy. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what he's been doing in terms of marketing, in terms of messaging, and some of those things today. So I'm super excited to bring him on. But before we do that, I've got to remind you guys that we've got a charity event coming up April 30th. We have the Word on the Street Tough Mudder Charity Challenge coming up right here in St. Louis on April 30th. It's actually going to be a weekend event. So April 29th through May 1st. And whether or not you want to participate in the Tough Mudder, you can still come in for the event. It's going to be awesome. We're going to go to a Cardinals game on Friday night. The event is Saturday morning. It's 9 miles and 30 obstacles. We're doing the first mud. So if you do sign up for it, make sure that you choose that one and choose the team Street Crew so you can participate with us in that Tough Mudder. And then on Sunday, we're going to have brunch at my house. Kind of finish the weekend by everybody coming to my house, having brunch, having a good time on Sunday morning. So it's going to be an awesome weekend, an awesome event. But most importantly, we're raising money for an organization called Battle Buddy 3 Gun. They take wounded veterans on shooting drills, and it's going to be exciting to raise money for them. We're looking to raise $100,000. It's a big goal. We've got $1,200 so far, so we have a long ways to go. But there's some companies out there that I know love to give to organizations like wounded veterans and help out, and individuals as well who can help. So to learn more about it, go to betaconsultinggroup.com/events. You'll find all the information there, including the agenda and hotels that you can use that are going to be in a good proximity. And you can also donate directly to the GoFundMe account. All the money goes to Battle Buddy 3 Gun. None of it goes to us or anybody else. So it's going to be an absolutely awesome event and an awesome weekend. And we appreciate your support on that. All right, so let's take a moment and talk about our next guest. So this guy kind of came out of nowhere. I got to be honest. I'd never heard this guy before. He LinkedIn messaged me to be on his podcast. I said yes. It was cool. We had a great conversation. And since he started that podcast and other things, this guy's absolutely blown up. We're just going to talk today about content, about marketing, about messaging. So please welcome to the show. And I hope I get his name right. Paul-Bernard Jarowslaski. Paul, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
Hey, Trey. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks for that intro. I am quite flattered by the way you presented me, to be honest.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Well, it depends. In America, I guess Americans pronounce it Jarowslawski. The correct way, the way they pronounce it in Poland, is Jarowslawski. So it's a tough last name. So I don't mind when people mispronounce it or say it incorrectly. You can call me Paul or Freight Caviar. My last name is just out there. It's there just to stick out. People always are like, "Wait, what's this guy's last name?" I guess that's a plus side for me, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll appreciate you being on the show. It looks like we may have a slight delay in your video, but that's okay.
Really?
Hopefully it all catches up. Hopefully it catches up soon. But the audio is good. So the people on Spotify and Apple are really going to enjoy it. But hopefully the video will catch up here in just a little bit. So it'll all be all good.
I hope
so. Paul, let's talk. There it is. We're back. Very good. When you go live, you never know. This is like the risk
of going live. Poland, right? There's
all right. And you're in Poland. Right,
yeah,
exactly. No. So you're not up the street in Chicago or anything like that. So hopefully it all works out. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about your kind of ascendancy, if you will, in the logistics space. You've been in the space for a while, but certainly in the last, I'm going to say, 4 to 6 months. I'm not sure the exact timeline, maybe 6 months. Everybody knows about you now, and they see your content, which is hilarious. Your memes are great. You got a newsletter now. You have podcasting going on. Talk a little bit about who you are, kind of intro yourself, how you got into logistics, and then how you kind of led you to Freight Caviar.
Sure. So I grew up in Chicago, and I graduated from U of I in Urbana-Champaign, pretty close to St. Louis. And my buddy at my fraternity, his dad owned a logistics company that actually just got acquired by Becker Logistics a few months ago. And I graduated in psychology. I was going to do my master's, but I was like, I kind of want to work. So he was like, Paul, if you want a job, you could, work in logistics at my dad's company. So I'm like, oh, let's do that. I'll give it a shot. And that's how I got into logistics. That was my first company. Then I transitioned to Everest Transportation Systems that sent me out to Ukraine. I built up an office there for 3 years. So I have a lot of friends in Ukraine right now, and this is an awful situation in terms of the war that's going on, and it's been tough in terms of like, you know, hearing from my friends, seeing like the reality that they're going through. But I quit that job in October of 2020, and I moved to Poland. And somewhere out of nowhere, an idea popped up into my head to create a freight meme account. And that wasn't back in October 2020. I just left my job. I had a lot of time on my hands, and I just was having fun with it. I also just had my ACL surgery, ACL replacement surgery. So I was sitting on a couch a lot, and I just was spending a lot of time on my phone creating memes. And I first picked the username Shipping Pallets, and I think when I hit like 6K or 7K followers, I changed it to Freight Caviar. And it just, I guess because I wasn't working, I just spent all my time creating memes. I just was having a blast. I have ADD, and I'm kind of addicted to my phone, so it's always at my fingertips. So that's kind of like out of nowhere, I had the idea to do it, and I went viral a few times. I've been on Freightwaves. I've started doing a podcast and just getting my name out there, which is amazing what it does, what it could do to someone, right? If you just have your name out there, people, or I've countless job offers in my messages, people reaching out to me all the time. So it's been quite amazing. So if anything, I've learned to just put yourself out there no matter what, because you never know what could come out of it.
I love that advice to put yourself out there. You know, a lot of people struggle with that. You know, like, well, what am I going to say, or does anybody want to hear from me, or whatnot? But when you do step out and you put yourself out there, everybody has a story that's unique to them.
Yeah.
Everybody has things they've learned that are unique to them. So I love that advice, and I definitely think that we could use more content creators like yourself in the space. You know, providing their knowledge, providing their wisdom, and also providing their wit. And when it comes to memes specifically, I got to say, like, I personally think that the true geniuses among us are the comedians. And when you're able to create a meme and make someone laugh, it kind of fits in that same vein. So I'm going to throw you in that pile as well, because the memes that you come up with are really good. So how long did it take you to get to, 5,000, 6,000 followers? And which platforms did you really focus on?
So at the beginning, it was only Instagram, strictly Instagram. I didn't do anything else anywhere. And what I did in the beginning, and what I did, I would say for almost, I think I stopped a few months ago. Every day I would follow 200 people. So I would go on like these other pages, freight meme pages, like Detention Denied, I Hate Freight. They already had like a big following. They had around 15, 16,000 followers. And on Instagram, you could follow 200 people a day. Otherwise, if you follow more, Instagram will block you for a week from doing so. So I would do that, and I was really good at it. Where I mean, it's like it would take me around 30 minutes to follow, because you want to follow 30 people that are, or 200 people that are in logistics. You don't want to follow people that aren't in logistics that aren't going to get the meme. So I did that for like over a year, where almost every day it was 200 people. And then of course you got to also unfollow these people, so that you're not, because you could only follow maximum 7,500 people on Instagram. You can't follow more than that on Instagram. So it was a way to do free kind of marketing, right? I just had to click on these people's profiles, and I would get like around, I calculated it, between 40 and 50% of the people I follow me back, which is a high percentage.
Pretty good. Yeah,
it's pretty good. And so I just did that day in and day out. And, some people might think it's spammy, and it kind of, I guess, in a way was, but that's what I did. I mean, that's how I got my name out there, because otherwise I wouldn't have grown to, I'm about to hit 20,000 this month. So I wouldn't have grown to that amount if it wasn't for doing that. But at the same time, I needed to have good content, because if I didn't have good content, people wouldn't follow me back. So that's what I focused on Instagram. And then people started messaging me on Instagram, like Ryan Rogers from TextOK. He messaged me. I had other people message me as well to just to do some kind of marketing or advertising through Instagram. And because when I post a story on Instagram, I get anywhere between like 6,000 and 7,000 views within 24 hours. So I have a high engagement rate, and people, I have CEOs, founders, presidents, because some people are worried that, oh, these are only regular brokers, but it is regular brokers along with actual company owners that could potentially buy a service or a product when I put it out there. So I think that has a powerful impact. And I really want to be niche in terms of just freight brokers, well, and also dispatchers, because dispatchers deal with freight brokers all day. So my following is split up between that. It's freight brokers, dispatchers, and I just started transitioning into other, I started doing LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I went viral twice, which just kind of skyrocketed my following through a couple memes. Then I started doing a podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, and the email newsletter is just something that I like curating. I've always been a fan of the Morning Brew. I think that's a great email newsletter. And it is a little bit time consuming, or I have troubles focusing sometimes, not gonna lie. And I wish I was focused more. I have some Ginkgo right here. This is what I've been taking lately, just trying to focus more. But yeah, I just, the only reason I did it and I keep doing it is because I have fun with it. It doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like I'm having fun. Like I want to get more content out there. And I think the industry is missing quality content. So that's what I try to do.
Well, I agree with that. There's definitely more content that can be put out there that would be helpful. And there was so much gold in what you just said. I almost feel like I need to go back and kind of break it up. So the first thing that you talked about is, that you felt like it might be a little spammy to follow people. But think about that. If you were sending emails to people, would you get a 40 to 50% follow rate on emails? Probably not. First of all, like that would never happen. And so the fact that people are doing that means that they're enjoying your content, or at least want to see what you're going to do. And that's the power of social media versus just, kind of the old fashioned email. There's a place for email marketing and email content, but man, the power of social media is incredible. And you were talking about, it's not just freight brokers, there's CEOs on there, because when you think about it, it doesn't matter if you're a CEO or if you're a freight broker, you're still a person, you're still somebody who likes to be entertained or likes to be connected. And that's what social media does. It connects us and it entertains us. And the key demographic on Instagram and TikTok right now is 40 to 55-year-olds, which are the CEOs of the companies that you're talking to, right? I mean, that's the audience. And the third thing you said is that you wanted to be niche. Like you said, you only are focusing on people in logistics. You're not just following anybody out there. And I think that's a mistake that some people make. That's a mistake that I certainly make and have made, is I want to follow everybody, try to cast my net, but you're really focused on a specific audience. And that's key to build up that audience, because it creates synergy much faster than just connecting with anybody. So a lot of gold there, man. I appreciate you kind of sharing all that. It's been absolutely fantastic. So what made you what made you change from shipping pallets to freight caviar? What was the deciding factor on that?
So I chose shipping pallets just because I was going to open up my own brokerage and have a few customers that ship pallets. I'm not sure if we lost a connection here, Trey.
Oh no, I just made you the focus. So I'm doing some.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Sorry about that. I wanted to highlight.
No worries. No worries. So I started shipping pallets back in October of 2020. I was about to open up my own freight brokerage, and my customers were just pallet customers. So in May of 2021, so almost a year ago, I was just driving and I turned on the Wrap Caviar playlist, and I looked at the Wrap Caviar title, and I was like, what about freight caviar? And I loved it from like the get-go. Right when I had the idea, I changed my username. I called up my one of my best friends, and I was like, Tom, what do you think of this username, freight caviar? And he's like, Paul, it's absolutely perfect. It literally, it's exactly what you do. You show the Eastern European side, and caviar is kind of like an Eastern European delicacy in a way. And you show the freight world, and it just sounds good. So when I picked freight caviar, it was actually funny because I put a poll on Instagram asking which username do you prefer to my followers. And out of 1,000 votes, 800 people chose shipping pallets because they were used to it. And I was like, it kind of made me question if I should use freight caviar, but I've learned to trust my gut, and my gut was saying 100% freight caviar. And I will never change my username from freight caviar ever. It's freight caviar, and it's forever going to be freight caviar.
And that's interesting that you would have a poll. First of all, 1,000 votes. That's pretty good engagement on a poll for sure. But that 800 would want to stay close, and you recognize this is probably just a comfort or like a recency bias or something, comfort bias that they have about this. But you trusted your gut. I think that's hard for a lot of people to do, is to not give or bend to kind of the social pressure that maybe was there. And that's a pretty small example, but still, like, not to stick to your gut and do what works for you. I think it goes back to a mantra I like to talk about, which is, Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. Like, you got to know who you are and what you want and not compromise for that. I think when you do that, man, that's, that obviously it's worked out well for you. So good decision to stick with Freight Caviar, which is awesome. So talk a little bit for a second about, the situation in Poland and Ukraine. People in Ukraine, obviously, especially like, in Ukraine from an operations perspective, there are a lot of US companies that have operations in Ukraine. And now we're seeing a lot of that being disrupted and people, that are fleeing to places like Poland, which is on the border. What are you seeing from that standpoint? And talk a little bit about two things: the humanitarian side, you have friends over there, but then also about the supply chain side. How is this wrecking supply chain? I just read this morning that Russia cut off the Black Sea ports, the maritime ports to Ukraine. Yeah. So basically cut them off from supplies and things like that. Talk a little bit about the humanitarian side and then also about the supply chain side.
From the humanitarian side, I don't know that much about maybe the logistics angle. I should maybe know more, but I could share a story about a friend of mine. We worked together at Everest. He was one of the managers there. He right now he's been driving from southwestern part of Ukraine near the border with Romania, because that's where he's from, and he's been bringing supplies to Kiev, which is a dangerous drive right now. Road. I mean, there's Russian soldiers, tanks on part of these roads. Luckily the road that he's on, there aren't, but you never know what could happen. But he's been driving a few times a week, bringing supplies, because they have supplies. And there's certain regions of Ukraine that aren't really affected yet by the war in terms of fighting, and they still have a flow of supply chain coming in from the EU, and other countries are still bringing in through Poland, Romania, Moldova into those regions. So I know that he's been delivering supplies, which is incredible. And there's a few photos that he sent me of him delivering it to Kiev, and it's diapers and it's food. And I'm like, wow, that's incredible. I mean, this is what he's doing. He's almost risking his life.
Oh yeah.
To help out people. So
amazing courage.
Yeah. Big shout out to Alexei Shalahin, because he's been doing that. I mean, another friend of mine signed up in the military. So he was a dispatcher / he was also he was consolidating loads for a trucking company in Chicago, and he's right now working in the military. So the men for the most part are staying in almost all of them are staying in Ukraine, because I think only if you have 3 kids or your wife is pregnant, you're allowed to leave. So predominantly they're all staying in Ukraine, and they're either fighting or trying to help out in some way. And then I know that Everest, they're opening up an office now in Krakow, Poland. So they brought the woman from the office in Kiev to Krakow, and they're opening up an office here. So there's definitely disruptions. I know that in the western part, in the city of Lviv, a lot of people are still there. Life kind of goes on normally. Cafes are open, stores are open, and people are able to work from there. So it's tough to say what's going to happen in the near future, because they might all have to end up, you never know what's going to happen in terms of what Russia decides to do. So yeah, it's definitely created some issues in terms of supply chain and logistics. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's tough.
It's crazy. It's a tough situation. It's hard to see. It's hard to watch people go through that. It's hard to see, supply chain, lines get cut off, and just, what that's going to mean for that region, the destruction. The pictures we've seen on the internet are absolutely unreal. I mean, I just can't even fathom. It's one of those things where I literally cannot even imagine what that would be like as a dad, as a man, just what that would be like. It's just, it's absolutely crazy. But having you over there has probably been eye-opening, at least for the rest of us, because you know that country, you're on the ground level, and you have such a following. You're able to talk a little about it. Talk to me about the nuance between sharing news, which is really critical, sharing good information, but also trying to create a little bit of humor with memes and things in something like a war that you guys are seeing over there right now. Talk about that nuance.
So right before the war, I was on a hot streak where I was getting 500 new followers a week. I was getting a lot of likes, a lot of shares, and my memes were on fire, and everything was great. And then right when the war started, I wasn't able to think about anything else besides the war, and I couldn't think of making any memes. I was like, this is not even the time to make memes. And it was I would tear up during the day, when I would read some news, and that would go on for about 10 days of to 2 weeks, or like around 10 days. And then, I mean, I had some ideas on how to incorporate memes into the whole war, and I was like, I might as well release these because it gives more spotlight to Ukraine. Maybe I could grab some donations. So I've been all my profits from my merchandise store from Freight Caviar have been going to help Ukrainian refugees, and I've sent, I think it's like in total, I mean, right now probably close to $1,000. It was from like advertisements, merchandise. So all my profits that I've been generating from Freight Caviar, I've been sending to these help centers for Ukrainian refugees. So I feel like I saw something on Twitter a few weeks ago where it said like you have to, the person who was running a company, a CEO, he was talking about the war and how he was kind of down mentally, drained and sad about it. And then he realized he has to be mentally strong because he has to make sure that his company is doing good so that he could help others and so that the economy stays strong. And I was like, I can't be here, tearing up about it. I could only try to help, right? So I'm trying to stay as mentally strong as possible, and whatever donations I could get, I'll be helping the people of Ukraine. And I've had a couple families stay at my apartment so far. So I'm just trying to stay mentally positive, and I'm trying to continue creating memes and continuing the Daily Freight Caviar podcast. It's all coming back together right now.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that. It's got to be difficult, but at the same time, the ability to make people laugh or kind of make light as much as possible. It's hard to say it like that, but kind of make light of the situation just to give people some hope and give them something to look forward to or something to laugh about is powerful. The ability to be entertained and almost kind of take your mind off of what's happening or to see it maybe in a different light is really powerful. And now you have a following where you can do that. And I want to focus just for a minute on what you're trying to do in terms of raising money. So you have basically created some apparel on not only Freight Caviar, but it looks like you've also done some branding for other companies. I think for Exo Freight, you did some Ukrainian color-based branding apparel for them as well. Talk a little bit about that and how people can learn more about that. Where can they go to find out information about that?
Sure. To go to my shop, you just got to go to freightcaviar.net and click shop. And if anyone wants customized apparel, they can reach out to me, and all the profits made from the sales will go to help Ukrainian refugees. So I live an hour away from the Ukrainian border, and there was actually an explosion about 2 hours away from me that killed 35 people yesterday. Wow. So it was insane, like how close it is. And I know a family here that's been helping out Ukrainian refugees by housing them. So I directly send the money to them because I know it's when people have all these foundations, these large foundations, it's difficult to actually directly see the effects it could have or the impact it might have for someone. So I send it directly to this woman who's super sweet, and she's been helping a lot.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm so excited that you're doing that, and hope that people will go to freightcaviar.net, see what you're doing, reach out to you for some custom gear and things like that. And not only do they get a chance to give, but also get something in return, which is awesome. So no, that's awesome to see. And I'm glad that you're doing that. So keep that up, man. That's really cool. I want to transition real quick to one thing you said is you talked about, having good content, that's really, really important to have good content. It's one thing to have, to follow people and to have followers, but without good content, that's going to dry up. How have you kind of worked through what works, what doesn't work? Do you use analytical tools to see which memes hit, which ones don't? Like how are you evaluating your content in order to keep, make sure that's really good?
I only use myself. I kind of maybe it's like a gut feeling. Maybe it's just something that I've learned naturally through doing it for a year and a half, because I've been doing it for a year and a half now. And it's kind of like I'm able to filter out, like I do it myself. I'm like the filtration tool. My brain is. It's tough to say. Like I look at something and I'm like, and I ask myself, would my audience enjoy this? And if it's a yes, I put it out. If it's a no, I don't. And I don't spend much time anymore in looking at analytics. I used to spend some time in looking at analytics, but nowadays I don't even care about how many followers I have anymore. I just try to be me. And some people I know don't like some people like actually follow me just so they could hate on me in a way. Most people love what I'm doing.
You got haters now. You've gotten to the point of having haters. Congrats.
Oh yeah, I have haters, and the haters just make you more popular. So it's like there's that old stupid saying, "I love my haters," and I kind of agree with that. So I try to always pick on something like a topic that's somewhat interesting for people that are freight brokers per se. So I did double brokers for a while because double brokering has been a hot topic in logistics.
Yeah.
I went to Armenia. I was the first American broker to go to Armenia, and I had a crazy time. I kind of got in trouble with with people out there. I got all my footage deleted. I got my phone taken away. It's kind of a crazy
I remember
story.
that. I remember seeing that.
Yeah. So that like I try to choose topics that kind of people want to talk about in freight, that are freight brokers. So that was double brokering, right? Other stuff is Eastern Europe. Like there's so much outsourcing going on in Eastern Europe that I want to talk about the outsourcing in Eastern Europe. I spent 3 years in Ukraine, and I want to visit more countries. I want to go to Macedonia to my friend Boris. I want to go visit him and do like a docu-series about that. And I just want to expose people in logistics, or honestly just freight brokers, to good content. Whoever else wants to join that group, awesome. But I really want to just focus in on the freight brokers. That's my niche.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job, and we put it up on the screen. But Jake McLeod got some of that custom Ukrainian colored freight for XO Freight, which I saw some pictures on LinkedIn about that. So definitely a great cause, without saying, that's for sure. Jake, thanks for watching the show, man. Good to have you on the show today. So Paul, real quick, last thing I want to talk about here, we're going to wrap it up, is monetizing your audience, or monetizing your following. That's something that obviously you have to build a following first. You have to have a good content. How hard was it for you to figure out kind of how to monetize that in order to keep doing it? Because obviously you need to make money to have time to continue doing what you're doing.
Sure. I'm not much of a natural sales guy, and I've never been like trying to sell. And I've been lucky that through Freight Caviar, a lot of people reach out to me. So I don't have to do it's a lot easier when they come to you instead of having to do like
it's the setup, man. You got the setup now.
Yeah, but I didn't try to make money off of it for a while. I mean, I think it was like probably almost a year until like I had people started reaching out to me, and people would reach out to me to see like, oh, how much would a story cost? How much would a post cost to post up on your Instagram? And then I guess through podcast, like I talked to Tim Hyam from Ascent TMS. Yeah. Shout out to Tim. He's been mentoring me too. We email a lot, and he after our podcast together, he was like, "Paul, I want to sponsor you." So he came on, and he's been sponsoring some freight, and we do like monthly sponsorship. And so I mean, with monetizing, it's definitely I think sometimes people try to rush into it, and it's best to just continue building something that's a good product. And that has engagement. At the end of the day, if you have engagement, people will come to you, or you could go to others and people will pay for it.
But think about that from a sales and marketing perspective. Like, you've built such a good marketing engine, and a following with that people now come to you. Like, what company would not want that? They'll have customers come to them because they're marketing. Yeah. So this just lends to a lot of transportation companies in particular don't want to invest in marketing. But just think about that for a minute. That if you can create this marketing engine that gets your name out there, get your product out there, get your brand out there, then people will start coming to you as opposed to you having to go to them. That, to me, I want to leave people with that tip. That if you're questioning whether or not you should invest in marketing, especially social media marketing and things like that, Paul's the example that it works, and you should do more of that. Yeah. So congrats on that, man. That's awesome.
If I could just real quick, Andrew Silver on my podcast said that freight brokerage sales is all marketing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everyone's doing the same thing. So whoever could market themselves better will get the customer. So.
You have to have good marketing, and then you have to have good product, because when those two things go together, that's the key. If you have good marketing and a bad product, it won't last. If you have a great product and no marketing, people won't hear about it. They won't know about it. It'll take a long time to build traction. So those two things together is really, really the key. So, well, Paul, hey, man, listen, I know we're up on time, but man, thanks so much for being on the show today. It's such a great honor to get to chat with you again. I'm looking forward to seeing you at TIA in April. out in San Diego, April 6th through 9. If you haven't signed up for that, everybody listening, and you're in logistics, you got to go to that if you're a freight broker. It's going to be can't miss. I think their registration is like over 1,100 now, so it's going to be an awesome event, and have a good time with that. And then just real quick, everybody, make sure you come back tomorrow because we got a great guest, Dan Deegan, who is the founder of High Performance Logistics Sales and the host of Sales Chatter. Is going to be on the show tomorrow. Guy's just a blast to talk to. He's a Canadian, has a lot of energy and a lot of great tips. So be sure to be back here tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for episode, I guess it's going to be, episode 11 of the podcast so far. So it's crazy. But anyways, man, thanks so much for being on. Great to talk to you, and best of luck over there. If there's anything that we can do for you, just keep letting us know. Keep us updated on what's going on, and we'll see you out in San Diego.
Thanks, Trey. Really appreciate it.
All right, Paul. We'll see everybody else. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.